This is the Uthfy 4,800 cubic feet per minute evaporative air cooler. In dry heat, it turns a stifling garage or patio into a space you can actually enjoy, without that sharp, dehydrating blast you get from a traditional air conditioner. This sits in the evaporative cooler category, sometimes called a swamp cooler. It is best for people who live with hot, dry summers and want a portable way to move a lot of cooled air through a workshop, a two-car garage, a covered patio, or a large living area with some airflow. If your climate already feels sticky and humid, you will not get the same punch from evaporative cooling, and I would not expect it to replace a traditional air conditioner in those conditions. Where the air is dry, this approach shines because it cools while adding a gentle dose of moisture that actually feels good on the skin. The design is simple and sturdy in a way that matters day to day. It is a tall, upright tower, about chest height for me, roughly 41 inches, with a powder-coated metal body that handles bumps and scuffs well. The large front grille looks basic, but that is a good thing because there is nothing fragile to baby. The louvers tilt up and down by hand, and the airflow sweeps side to side through a wide arc, so I can set it to wash a workspace or park it off to the side and still feel a steady breeze. The water tank is what stands out. It is big, around 10.5 gallons, with a top fill opening that feels like pouring into a regular cooler. There is also a garden hose adapter for continuous fill, which is the kind of real-life convenience that saves time during a heat wave. The caster wheels are beefy enough to roll over thresholds and patio joints, and the locks actually hold it in place, even when I run it at full blast. Setup took me a quiet minute. I snapped on the casters, slid the ice packs into the freezer for later, filled the tank from the top and hit the power. If you want zero downtime, that hose adapter is worth using. I ran a standard garden hose to it, set the flow low, and stopped thinking about water levels entirely. The controls are old school in the best way. A physical power button, a swing button for oscillation, a cooling button that activates the water pump, and a simple speed selector for low, medium, or high. Everything responds immediately, there is no delay, and I never had to hunt through a menu or worry about a finicky touch panel. It feels like a tool, not a gadget. Cooling performance is where evaporative designs either make sense for you or they do not. This unit moves a lot of air. 4,800 cubic feet per minute is a real number that translates into a strong, broad stream of breeze that you can feel across a two-car garage. On dry afternoons, I can absolutely tell the air is cooler at the outlet, and as it mixes through the space, the room settles into a more comfortable zone. It is not an air conditioner, and it will not pull humidity out of the air. It adds moisture. That said, the way it drops the perceived temperature on a dry day is noticeable. The airflow is smooth rather than whiny, closer to a large box fan in loudness. On low and medium, it fades into the background hum of a workshop. On high, you hear a solid whoosh that is justified by how quickly it moves the heat away from you. I tested it in a few real situations. In my garage on a mid-afternoon with the sun beating on the driveway, I cracked the side door open a few inches and lifted the back window. That cross breeze plus the cooler made the whole space usable. Without that fresh air coming in, an evaporative cooler builds humidity and starts to feel heavy. With a little airflow, the room stays fresh. The cooler keeps working, and I stop thinking about the heat. On my covered patio during a weekend barbecue, I placed the unit just inside the shade, angled the vents slightly upward, and let the oscillation sweep across the seating area. People ended up drifting into its path naturally, because the air felt softer and easier to breathe. When the day got extra dry, I dropped in the reusable ice packs that come in the box, and the outlet air took on that crisp edge that you notice right away for the next hour. Inside, I rolled it to an open-plan living and kitchen space while cooking. I left the back door cracked and a window open on the opposite side. The cooler kept the space comfortable without the stale, sealed feeling of a window air conditioner. The trade-off is that you will feel a slight bump in humidity. For me, on dry days, that extra moisture makes it easier on my skin and my eyes. On muggy days, I would not run it inside unless I had a steady breeze through the room. There are a few little behaviors to be aware of. The water pump needs a few seconds to soak the pads when you first switch into cooling mode, so the air gets progressively cooler in that short window. If the tank runs low and you are not using the hose, you will hear a change in sound as the pump catches a bit of air. It is a good cue to refill. With the tank full, the unit gets heavy. The wheels handle it, but plan where you want it before you top it off. Maintenance is straightforward. I rinse the pads when they look dusty, drain or empty the tank if I will not use it for a week, and wipe the exterior with a damp cloth. That is about it. No hidden filter subscription, no complicated disassembly. The metal body helps because it does not feel fragile. It takes a bump without the kind of creak you get from thin plastic housings. One specific use case that surprised me is garage projects that usually feel unbearable in the afternoon. Sanding, light woodworking, or just reorganizing storage shelves. I park the cooler near the open side door, angle the louvers, and set it to medium with the cooling mode on. I can work for hours without that swampy, overheated feeling. The air movement helps clear dust away from my face, and the added moisture does not turn into a problem because of the fresh air coming in. If I am painting or staining, I do not use any evaporative cooler since extra humidity slows dry times. For everything else, it makes the space usable. There are some smart touches I appreciate. The oscillation covers a wide spread, around 110 degrees by my estimate, so the airflow does not feel like a narrow beam. Manual vertical adjustment lets me send the breeze higher to clear a workbench or lower for people sitting. The top fill opening is legitimately helpful because I can pour from a bucket without a funnel. The hose adapter for continuous fill is the kind of set it and forget it feature that changes how often I think about the tank. The included ice packs are not magic, but on punishing afternoons they bring the outlet air down quickly, and that quick hit of chill makes a difference. The mechanical controls are a strength. They are predictable, and they still work with wet hands after cleaning up or cooking. There is no remote and no app, which I do not miss in the garage, but some people might want that convenience in a living room setup. Noise and comfort are worth touching on. On low and medium, I can have a conversation next to it without raising my voice. On high, you talk over it, but it is not shrill. It sounds like moving air rather than a whining motor. After a couple of weeks using it on and off, I got used to the rhythm. I learned to start it early in the day to keep the space from getting away from me. By the time the sun is at its peak, the room is already in a good place and the cooler keeps it there. If you are new to evaporative cooling, here is the single most useful habit. Always give it a source of fresh air. Crack a window, open a door, or set it near the edge of a covered patio. The constant supply of dry air keeps the pads working and stops humidity from building up. That one step changes the whole experience. My take after real use is simple. This is a workhorse cooler that moves a lot of air, feels solid, and stays easy to live with. It excels in dry climates, in garages, patios, workshops, or big rooms where you can bring in fresh air. It asks you to maintain it lightly and to understand evaporative cooling, but it pays you back with comfort and lower energy use compared to running an air conditioner all day. If you need quiet relief in a humid environment, or you want precise climate control, a traditional air conditioner still makes more sense. If you want portable cooling with a softer feel, straightforward controls, and a big tank that keeps going through the hottest part of the day, this is a smart option. To learn more about the Uthfy 480 CFM evaporative air cooler, please check the comments section. Thank you for watching.